Hi everybody. Wednesday. About 6:45. I'm supposed to be on a Zoom meeting in quarter of an hour. That's not happening. It's our quilt group's Zoomy day. Not happening. Not happening. Never mind, girls. I promised everybody here a postcard, didn't I? And that's actually, yeah, quite important. So, postcard time. Now, going for a bit of weirdness today. All right. Here's one I prepared earlier. And there's another one. Right now, trapping things that what have been trapped underneath, in this case, a net. A very, very fine net. I don't know if you can see that. Now, these days we can get these lovely nets and things in all sorts of colours, sparklies, plains, whatever. It needs to be quite strong, all right? Because actually the last thing we want to do is trap things underneath and they get caught in the post or something and they all rip and whatever. Actually, thinking about it, this might be one that if you're going to put it through the post, you might want to put it in an envelope or put a double layer of this and see how it goes. All right, it's all a risk. All of these postcards are a bit of a risk. You don't know what's going to happen in the post with them. So I've used a fine white. I think the Americans call it tulle. We might call it tulle. I don't know. I call it netting. But there we go. You could use an organza, any sort of fabric that is transparent, not transparent, but you can, that you can see through enough, so that you know what it is you're looking at. All right. So let me walk through what I've done. Okay, I've taken some photos and I will put them over on Patchwork Wittering's group on Facebook for you all. All right. That one there. So what have I done? I've got a yellow fabric in the back. And then I've put a layer of the white netting. Okay. And then, what did I do then? I stitched all the way around, but left myself about 1/2 inch open. Okay. So that actually I could slide things through between the netting and the yellow fabric. Yeah. So then I've got a lovely, can you see that? It's a necklace of sorts, I believe. I think. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, it's a necklace, look. I think, yeah, look, it's got a little beady thingy, what's it going on here? Can we open it? There we go. I ain't never going to wear that. I think I got that actually in a charity shop for pennies. There are so many beads on there, as you can imagine, seed beads. So what I then did was I cut off a string of these, because I was a bit of a vandal, I don't mind. And part of the string, I left a string, you can see it sort of curling around. Yeah, and some of it I had loose. And then I got some of those little nice shiny, they're sequins, shaped sequins. I think you can get like kiddies packs with all sorts of, don't ask me where I got them. Look, I've just been raiding one of my little boxes of stuff. We like stuff. So yeah, so I slid some of them down as well. Then, very carefully, mind, with a white thread, I machined in between. I sort of pushed things out the way, because this is great. It's like a fiddle quilt or whatever. You can push all these bits and pieces around underneath the net. So I pushed them apart, and then I put a line of white plain straight stitch in between them all, at different angles and all over the place. Be really, really careful with your sewing machine. All right. What you don't want to do is break a needle. Okay, so but if you go slow, and then what I found where I had to go between sort of two quite close beads, I got as close as I could, and then I very carefully lifted the foot, pushed the beads around a bit, and dropped the foot and carried on, and that seemed to work. And one couple, yeah, in a couple of places. I'm tired. I'm sorry, folks. In a couple of places, I actually let the foot raise on top of the bees and then just very carefully let it carry on and gently helped it through. All right, but don't do anything that's going to break or mess up your machine. All right, so that was a straight stitch. So once I was happy everything was where I wanted it, sort of thing, and it was all sort of trapped, I then went back and I used a fancy stitch in the purple. All right, I think you can see that on top of the white stitch that I'd already done. Okay, now that took a little bit of fussy and faffing. Don't have to do it. It was just me playing around. I mean, you could maybe put, I don't know, you could put some ribbon on top. You could do just a zigzag. You know, it doesn't matter. All we're doing is trapping some things and having a little play. They really are good fun to play with, you know. I do them sometimes on the fronts of book covers, especially diaries, because then if you're on the phone and you're a bit, you could do this. It's good fun. I shouldn't say that, should I? Sorry, anybody that was phoning me and I was busy playing. It's what I do, you know. So anyway, so I then put this lovely sort of stitchy thing around the outside edge, and then I got out the old faithful pinking shears and I just pinked around the edge. All right, so what I didn't say was I did all the white and then I did all the fancy stitch, sorry, and then I put the white fabric on the back, then I did the outside border, and then I pinked around it. Okay, so that we've got a nicely held back ready to do your writing on. All right, so that was that one. That sounds a bit long-winded, but it was a bit of fun. And then I thought, what would happen if, okay, because I was thinking, you know, they're all raised up, aren't they? Quite raised, and what's going to happen? I got a piece of wadding, so I got an bit of iron-on wadding scrap, and I ironed it onto my postcard innards. All right. Then I put me what's it over the top. And again, I would say 1 or 2 layers if you think you can put it in the post or into a postcard, or you might make it into a card. You might do anything with it. I don't know. So get whatever net it is you want to use, any colour. And then, what did I do then? I put a line of stitch literally straight down the centre there. Okay. Then I stitched along the edge and along the edge, straight stitch. Okay, not the finishing, but just straight. And then I did all these little weirdy shapes that come from the outside in. So you're creating pockets. Right, now if you actually thought about this and planned it, you could have some really, really, really good designs going on. It's only that literally, I've done this just now, I just did anything to see what would happen. All right, so you could just think, you could put, if you did it all in the right directions and things, you could put googly eyes and things in there and have some little animals and stuff going. There's all sorts of things you could do. Yeah. So then once I've got all of these section pockets, I've put things in them. Now, what I would say was it got a little bit fiddly because of the wadding. Things wanted to stick to the wadding before I got it where I wanted it. So got me good old tweezers out here and I was shoveling them in. And then in my box of tricks there, I found a little iron-on motif. So I've got an elephant on that one, just because it seemed like a good idea. What did it look like? And we've got sequins and we've got buttons and we've got little gem thingies and beads and what sequins, I said that. There we go. So we've got all sorts in there. Then, very carefully, because you don't want them all dropping out, especially if you've not used wadding, because the wadding does seem to hold it a little bit. But if you were going to put that on like a fabric, like that one, you don't want them dropping out the sides. So you're going to take that to your machine and very carefully just straight stitch the 2 sides to trap that all in. Okay, so when you've done that, everything's where it needs to be. Push everything into the centre a bit. And then I ran a row of zigzag around when it was all a bit rough. And like we did last week, just did a basic zigzag. Then I cut off all the spare. I forgot to tell you, I put back on it again. I have a thing. Obviously, I don't want backs on them this week. I don't know. So, yeah, so I did me stitch down the sides. Then I put me white fabric on the back. Then I machined around then I cut off the excess. All right, so I cut off the excess, and then I went back round with a bigger zigzag. All right, if you've got an overlocker, that might work. I don't know. I don't use overlockers, so I don't know whether or not you'd wreck things with it. You might want to be careful. That might be an idea too far with my brain cell. I'm sorry. Yeah, so there we go. So there's another one. But they are quite thick, obviously, because things are sticking up. It's not so bad, this one. It's actually worked quite well with the wadding. I suppose what you could do is put wadding and then fabric as well. But the wadding's gripping the pieces and keeping them where they are, which is quite good. But I think into an envelope if you're going to post these. And they're going to be large letters if you're posting, cost-wise, because of the thickness. They're not going to go through your normal letter. All right. So there we are. There's a couple more. And that one looks bigger because we've pinked the edge. So it's made your actual card that bit bigger. And that was done in the same way as we did last week. All right. So what else could you trap in there? You could trap in some threads. I'm not going to say trap in fabric because that becomes shadow applique, and we'll do that another week. All right, so this is just trapping stuff. All right, so anything you fancy that you've got lurking around, you could put in there, couldn't you? As long as it's going to fit in. I like the beads personally because then you can sit and play with them. It's good fun. Right, there we are. So that's this week's postcard. Trapping stuff. I have absolutely no idea if this actually has an official name. Shadow stuff, I don't know. Shadow applique is where we get the fabrics underneath and do pictures and things, but I'll show you that, as I say, another time. But yeah, so I've just trapped underneath. There we go. But if you plan it, actually, going back to it, if you plan it, you could get some really good things going on. And if you've got a lot of time, if you do your design and stuff, you could put stuff in the middle and do a circle and then put some radiatings and put things. It's endless. But if you plan it and think about what bits do I sew when, and then when you've got everything where you need it and trapped it, put your backing fabric on, like I keep doing. Okay, so there we are. Now, I did want to just introduce you to one of my new patterns. This one went live at the weekend on Craft Store TV. Okay, so we got a special offer on if anybody fancies it. So it's what I call one of my scrap and stash patterns. So basically you're using mostly what you've got. This one, I think you need 1 metre of the white. Obviously you use whatever colour you want, so you want 1 metre piece of something. And then I got through 3/4 of a metre of the red, which is the binding, and the Dresden in the centre. I called it Drop the Dresden because normally you see Dresdens in complete rings, don't you? It's exploding over there. So it's like you've dropped the plate, isn't it? Drop your Dresden. Well, that's where my brain was when I said it anyway. Then I've used different fabrics for every other piece, all right? This is really very frightening. You've got 2 main fabrics here, and every single one of the others, all those little pieces, are different. I haven't counted them. I don't count them because I got all of those out of one little basket area in my stash. And now that's quite frightening because I'm a bit of a one. I hang on to everything because it might come in handy. Well, of course, all these little bits is worked really well. Anyway, I'll shut up in that manner. So there's a pattern, okay, with all your sizings and everything, which would normally be £10 anyway. All right. But what I've done, I've been able to do, I worked out a deal with Andy at Craft UK. And he's made Dresden plate templates, so petals, whatever you want to call it. There's 16 of those to a complete circle. But that circle, if you were to make it traditionally, will fit really nicely inside a 12-inch block. I originally had these made several years ago because when I was teaching beginners, I could never find exactly the size that I wanted. All sorts of lovely things where you get a circle and you add it to this and you do that. Too much like hard work. So in the end, I just got Andy to make me these. And I've been teaching with these for several years now. They're fabulous. So we've done a deal with him. And there's your template is in there. So you're going to get the 2, if indeed you want. Instead of, I think it should be about £14 or £15, the 2 together. We're doing them. There's a phone. How rude. Never mind, we'll leave that going. He'll answer that in the house with a bit of luck. So we're going to put the 2 together and that's going to cost you £10.95. All right, so special offer for a little while, until basically until my stocks of that run out. Once that runs out, we'll go back to full price everything. So this one at the minute says includes a Dresden acrylic template. Okay, I'll put the link on my Facebook page, or you'll find it in my shop. All right, so if you're after that. Okay, there we are. That's as much as I'm going to say this week, other than thank you all for your support. There's so many of you out there that have messaged me, contacted me, emailed me. Some have rung. I have had so much support this last week, going through my first ever TV live, whatever it was. Couldn't have done it without you all. I really couldn't. And special thanks to sort of Andy at Crafty UK and Julia at Crosspatch, the people at Craft Store TV, Julie who helps me out, Carol who makes samples for me, Paul, husband Paul, he is now called the packaging department. He is officially the packaging department. So he spent all day Monday out here with me, packing things up and sorting out systems and getting everything sorted. He has been such a support, such a love. Came all the way up to Peterborough with me for this new TV thingy. Although it scared the hell out of me, I will be doing it again, because I've got some other plans and things that I want to show you. And yeah, so that will be in a couple of months' time. So keep an eye out for that. So as I say, thank you everybody. It is hugely appreciated. Right, so that's this week's postcards. Next week, we'll find something else to do with the postcard. I have a few plans yet. Okay, so 3 things. Bit of exercise, bit of tidying. I had to do a huge amount of here today. And your friends. Be posting out your friends, your postcards to your friends. Are they all okay? Give them a ring, make sure everything's all right. Okay. Leaves me just one thing. Be lovely.